Hey guys. Okay, so just want to say I love you and start off with a little science that I learned back in the day. Um, it it's about stress and about what it does to your immune system, and primarily it's actually about fear. Just a little technical thing that might help you throughout your day and in the upcoming weeks and months. When you go into flight, fight, fawn, or freeze mode, particularly fight or flight or freeze mode, um, you go in fawn too. You go into fear, which means you go into survival, which means that your digestive system, along with your immune system, are put on pause, on hold. They're like, we don't need that right now. We need to be ready to fight, flight, survive. So your immune system literally shuts down. And I just want you to keep that in mind when you get that fear in your gut over this coronavirus and other things, anything really, but specifically the coronavirus. You have to keep in peace. You have to keep your faith. You have to stay calm. Have to. Well, if you want to be healthy, yeah, because it's just basic science. If you actually go into fear, your immune system automatically shuts down. It's important to know that. Your best way to keep healthy is to not let your immune system shut down because it's on in fight or flight. That said, we're going to be reading from March 13th, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. Learn to live above your circumstances. This requires focused time with me, the one who overcame the world. This also means, because it's all words, so let's get to the basic meaning of it. Your higher self. You're part and parcel of God. Remember that. So, this is what I get out of this. Learn to live above your circumstances. This requires focused time with me, the Father, yourself, your higher self, the one who overcame the world. You're eternal. Just run with it. Trouble and distress are woven into the very fabric of this perishing world. Only my life in you can empower you to face this endless flow of problems with good cheer. So, do you want your immune system to be the strongest it can be? Try running around being happy and in good cheer. It's just science, really, and it's your spirit speaking to you to be at peace. As you sit quietly in my presence, I shine peace into your troubled mind and heart. Little by little, you are freed from the earthly shackles and lifted up above your circumstances. You gain my perspective on your life, enabling you to distinguish between what is important and what is not. Rest in my presence, receiving joy that no one can take away from you. Now, this is speaking a lot about, obviously, the Holy Spirit. So I wanted to read the following from the Book of Miracles in reference to the Holy Spirit. The Course in Miracles, Chapter 5, 3, The Guide to Salvation. The way to recognize your brother is by recognizing the Holy Spirit in him. I have already said that the Holy Spirit is the bridge for the transfer of perception to knowledge. So we can use the term as if they were related, because in his mind they are. This relationship must be in his mind, because unless it were, the separation between the two ways of thinking would not be open to healing. He is part of the Holy Trinity, because his mind is partly yours and also partly God's. This needs clarification, not in statement, but in experience. Don't get all like about the Holy Spirit being referred to as male. Think of it as female, if that helps you. The Holy Spirit is the idea of healing. Being thought, the idea gains as it is shared. Being thought, the idea gains as it is shared. Being the call for God, it is also the idea of God. These are all things the Holy Spirit are. Since you are part of God, it is also the idea of yourself, as well as of all his creations. kitty cat, doggy included. The idea of the Holy Spirit shares the property of other ideas because it follows the laws of the universe of which it is part. It is strengthened by being given away. It increases in you as you give it to your brother. Your brother does not have to be aware of the Holy Spirit in himself or in you for this miracle to occur. He may have disassociated the call for God, just as you have. This disassociation is healed in both of you as you become aware of the call for God in him, and thus acknowledge its being. Pretty cool stuff. There are two diametrically opposed ways of seeing your brother. They must both be in your mind because you are the perceiver. See him through the Holy Spirit in his mind, and you will recognize him in yours. What you acknowledge in your brother, you are acknowledging in yourself, and what you share, you strengthen. What you share, you strengthen. Do you want to share fear? Mess up other people's immune system, including yourselves? Shut it down for a few in this time? Or do you want to share cheer? The voice of the Holy Spirit is weak in you. This is why you must share it. It must be increased in strength before you can hear it. It is impossible to hear it in yourself while it is so weak in your mind. It is not weak in itself, but it is limited by your unwillingness to hear it. And if you're going to hear it, you have to be thinking about it. If you make the mistake of looking for the Holy Spirit in yourself alone, your thoughts will frighten you because, by adopting the ego's viewpoint, you are undertaking an ego-alien journey with the ego as a guide. This is bound to produce fear. Delay is of the ego because time is its concept. Both time and delay are meaningless in eternity. I have said before that the Holy Spirit is God's answer to the ego. Everything of which the Holy Spirit reminds you is in direct opposition to the ego's notion, because true and false perceptions are themselves opposed. Duality, you say. The Holy Spirit has the task of undoing what the ego has made. He undoes it at the same level in which the ego operates, or the mind would be unable to understand the change. Important piece there. I have repeatedly emphasized that one level of the mind is not understandable to the other. So it is with ego and the Holy Spirit, with time and eternity. Eternity is an idea of God, so the Holy Spirit understands it perfectly. Time is a belief of the ego, so the lower mind, which is the ego's domain, accepts it without question. The only aspect of time that is eternal is now. Now. Right now. Now is eternity? Yeah, now. Right now. The Holy Spirit is the mediator between the interpretations of the ego and the knowledge of the Spirit. This ability to deal with symbols enables him to work with the ego's beliefs in its own language. I'm going to repeat that. His ability, the Holy Spirit's ability to deal with symbols enables him to work with the ego's belief in its own language. His ability to look beyond symbols into eternity enables him to understand the laws of God for which he speaks. You can therefore perform the function of reinterpreting what the ego makes, not by destruction, but by understanding. So we're not meaning to destroy anything. We're just trying to understand their point of view and bring him to peace from that standpoint. Because you don't have to explain nothing yourself. If you're in peace, it's self-apparent. Understanding is light, and light leads to knowledge. The Holy Spirit is in light because he is in you who are light, but you yourself do not know this. It is therefore the task of the Holy Spirit to reinterpret you on behalf of God. In other words, he'll meet you where you are. Just let him. You cannot understand yourself alone. This is because you have no meaning apart from your rightful place in the sonship and the rightful place of the sonship in God. Once again, we are all part and parcel of God. Once we get there, sustain there, live there, it'll be good times. This is your life, your eternity, and yourself. It is of this that the Holy Spirit reminds you. It is this that the Holy Spirit sees. This vision frightens the ego because it is so calm. Peace is the ego's greatest enemy because according to its interpretation of reality, war is the guarantee of its survival. The ego becomes strong in strife. Fear, no bueno. The ego becomes strong in strife. If you believe there is strife, you will react viciously because the idea of danger has entered your mind and stopped your immune system from working and giving you belly aches from the digestive system not working. This is what fear does to our physical body. Remember that. The idea itself is an appeal to the ego. The Holy Spirit is as vigilant as the ego to the call of danger, opposing it with his strength just as the ego welcomes it. The Holy Spirit counters this welcome by welcoming peace. Eternity and peace are as closely related as are time and war. Perception derives meaning from its relationships. Those you accept are the foundation of your beliefs. Separation is merely another term for a split mind. The ego is the symbol of separation, just as the Holy Spirit is the symbol of peace. What you perceive in others, you are strengthening in yourself. You may let your mind perceive, but the Holy Spirit lets your mind reinterpret its own misinterpretations. I'm going to repeat that. What you perceive in others, you are strengthening in yourself. You may let your mind misperceive. You may let your mind misperceive, but the Holy Spirit lets your mind reinterpret its own misperceptions. The Holy Spirit is the perfect teacher. He uses only what your mind already understands to teach you what you do not understand, that you do not understand it. I love that. He uses only what your mind already understands to teach you that you do not understand it. The Holy Spirit can deal with a reluctant learner without going counter to his mind, because part of it is still for God. Despite the ego's attempts to conceal this part, it is still much stronger than the ego. Although the ego does not recognize it, the Holy Spirit recognizes it perfectly because it is his own dwelling place, the place in the mind where he is at home. You are at home there too, because it is a place of peace, and peace is of God. You, who are part of God, are not at home except in his peace. If peace is eternal, you are at home only in eternity. The ego made the world as it perceives it, but the Holy Spirit, the reinterpreter of what the ego made, sees the world as a teaching device for bringing you home. What? The Holy Spirit sees the world as what? The ego made the world as it perceives it, but the Holy Spirit, the reinterpreter of what the ego made, sees the world as a teaching device for bringing you home. So fear not. The Holy Spirit must perceive time and reinterpret it into timeless. He must work through the opposites. He must work through opposites because he must work with and for a mind that is in opposition. So again, words, as Hamlet once said. Words. But ultimately, those people that are about duality, I have this tat I gotta show you that my friend and brother Gordon McCorder still needs to finish. Oh no, how am I gonna do this? Oh no, there it is. No, smack. Hold on, there it is. He said it was about duality and how it ended. This made me bring to mind this. So I'm going to repeat that. The ego made the world as it perceives it, but the Holy Spirit, the reinterpreter of what the ego made, sees the world as a teaching device for bringing you home. The Holy Spirit must perceive time and reinterpret it into timelessness. He must work through the opposites because he must work with and for a mind that is in opposition. Correct and learn, and be open to learning. You have not made truth, but truth can still set you free. Look at the Holy Spirit. Look as the Holy Spirit looks, and understand as he understands. Meet people where they are. As the intenders say, seek to understand rather than to be understood, to console rather than to be consoled. His understanding looks back to God in remembrance of me. He is in communion with God always, and he is part of you. We are part and parcel of God. I can't say that enough. Here is your guide to salvation, because he holds the remembrance of things past and to come and brings them to the present, the now, the eternity that is now. He holds his gladness gently in your mind, asking only that you increase it in his name by sharing it to increase his joy in you. So what you put your thoughts in, what you put your words in, what you put your action in, what you let emotion take over you, that's what you're amplifying. So be in cheer, brothers and sisters. I love you very much. And Gordon, one of these days you're going to have to finish that. I look forward to it. Namaste.